There's an amazing speech that my son, when he was like 3-year-old, like found on Apple Music. It was a commencement speech. And in it, one line that sticks with me is, worrying is like trying to solve math by chewing gum.
I love that.
Like, you're never gonna.
Yes.
Like, it's just nothing ever is gonna come from it. So yeah, so you're just like, why worry about stuff?
Let's talk tales.
Since leaving corporate America in 2010, my guest has helped entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and thought leaders tell their stories through blog content, websites, and books. She is the author of We Don't Get to Ring the Bell, My CML Story, a memoir about living with chronic myeloid leukemia. I can't even hardly say it, it's that bad. So she has been featured in Entrepreneurial Magazine, Bold, Journey Magazine, and the Nonprofit Show. She volunteers with the Blood Cancer United and has raised more than $65,000 for blood cancer research and awareness. It's McAuley Lopez. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. You know, I really do want to dive into your journey of what you do for entrepreneurs, but I can't help but have to talk about this. Tell me the tale of when you realized you had to go to the doctors for a diagnosis.
Oh, it was 4 months after I got married in 2016. I went to my naturopath because I was having really bad panic attacks. So we had been trying to manage it naturally, and she said, you know what, let's just run some blood work just to make sure something else isn't going on. And the blood work came back, and she said, we need you here Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, and this was Monday.
Oh my goodness.
And bring a friend. That's never good. So we went, my husband and I, my very new husband and I went, and I was like, maybe it's high cholesterol. She's going to tell me to eat a steak. No, it was a high white cell count. It was just your basic panel of blood work. So I say to people, get your physical done, get that basic blood work done. Mm-hmm. That's how most of CML patients, that's how most of us find out we have it. So then I went to a hematologist, and I think it was within a week or two that I was diagnosed with CML. They run all the blood work for everything else and eliminate things and come to a diagnosis. There's a mutation I have called the, what is it called? Oh, wow. Okay.
With the Philadelphia.
There's a mutation called the Philadelphia chromosome.
Yeah.
The BCR and the ABL, they exchange some information, and they're left with a little short one. That's the Philadelphia chromosome. Mm-hmm. And that's what causes the cells to go out and make too many white cells. Yeah. So I take a pill every day. Most CML patients do, and we don't get to ring the bell. We don't have a, like a drip chemo schedule where it's like, okay, you have this many months, which is awful in and of itself. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, that's a good name for the book. It's apt. Yeah. We know what it's about. And it was really written from social media posts I was seeing. We were asking the same questions over and over. And I had family who really hadn't heard our stories. So I said, well, let's write a book about this. So I worked with my collaborator, Christine. Mm-hmm. We walked through a process. And honestly, Taylor, the process that we used to write my book is essentially the process that we use now with our clients.
Oh, wow.
So so when they get overwhelmed, they say, I know, I get it. I've been overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard to write a book about something that's so personal. And, I looked at my husband and I said, I know we said in sickness and in health, but like 4 months.
Right. But do we really meant that? We meant that when we were like in our 90s.
Yeah. I meant like in a few years, way down the road. But he's just amazing. I mean, I didn't wait till I was 40 something to get married to marry a guy who wasn't going to support me through something like this. But I was like, if you need an out, But
wow.
No,
you got a good guy.
I do.
That's amazing.
He wrote the foreword. He'll want me to say that. He tells everyone that.
And for those, I feel like at this point, there's a lot of people who have been touched by cancer. But for those who don't, the ringing of the bell is such a symbolic moment because that's when you've, fought through it. You're in remission. You're doing better. And so the idea of we don't get to ring the bell, like that means this is your new life, your new normal.
Yeah. We take a pill every day. Now, there are some patients, and science moves so fast, especially in the cancer world. We partner with Blood Cancer United because they do amazing work and amazing research. They share research with other cancers. So, for example, the pill that I take is a targeted chemo pill. It goes right to the bad cells and destroys them, essentially. Very unscientific, but,
But, hey, no, keep it low level for me.
But that's essentially what it does. And so they've learned kind of how they can create medications for other cancers that target at the cellular level. And they also have like cystic fibrosis has a targeted treatment now. And it's really amazing how fast the treatment is moving. The development of treatments is moving.
Well, we have to keep, doing the great things like you're doing and, support cancer research and donate towards cancer research because, it's really, truly helping people continue to live their lives as we can see right here in the class. And so you said that you use a lot of the structure of this book for your clients. How exactly, if I was wanting to start a book, like, tell me more of how could someone, because writing a book, they say, is one of the hardest things you can do. Like, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm going to write a book. And they're like, whoa, you poor thing. Like, that is a lot of work. And so, tell me some of the steps that you take with your clients in order to help them, have something so beautifully tangible like this.
We start with a conversation. And probably I would say, why do you want to write your book, Taylor? And who's the audience for your book? Yeah. So I want to write a book about my film company.
And
I want to write a book
nonfiction that you assist with?
Yeah, primarily it's memoirs in some form.
Okay.
So whether it's kind of a life memoir, we've got one of those in the works, or kind of a life and business memoir. I don't know if that's an official category at the library, but maybe it should be, a life and business memoir. And we start with a conversation. If we kind of vibe together, honestly, that's kind of how I work.
All right.
I say, okay, let's move ahead. Here's what the process would look like. Typically, we'd meet once a week. We'd start with a larger conversation of what's your why, who's your reader, really target that down, just like we do for all marketing, right?
Yep.
Taylor's going to ask you the same question. That's what I would ask you. And we develop a list of 10 to 15 questions that we would want to answer in the book, 10 to 15 pieces of business, like things about business that you'd want people to know, whatever your topic is. And that would really start the outline for the book. And we'd go through, and each session, I would say, okay, this is a chapter we're working on. Here's some questions. And you get those ahead of time, of course, because I want you to be comfortable in our conversation. And we would talk about, okay, well, here's kind of the business piece or the tactical piece. Now tell us a personal story. How does it relate to you and your story? Yeah. And that's how we get started. And I take those transcripts and work magic on them. But essentially, it's your words. And I'm really just editing your words, putting the stories in an order that makes sense for publication. I think my book is 10 chapters. That's usually what we run, is 10 to 15. And we walk through, sometimes it's chronological. Like, I think mine is more chronological. Sometimes it's, it could be different sections, like, how I got started in business, the middle, and now, what I'm doing now, kind of a thing, whatever it is. But I try to make it simple because it is an overwhelming process. So we just break it into little pieces. What's that phrase? Eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Yes, exactly. I, as a vegetarian, don't love that phrase.
No.
But,
eat the carrot one bite at a time.
Eat the cake, right? Come on.
Eat the cake. Oh, I love that one.
Right? Come on. Everyone loves cake. And in your bio, you had mentioned that you were in the corporate world, in corporate America, probably making a steady paycheck, a timely, predictable paycheck, maybe even had some benefits. What was the tale that you told yourself to go, forget security, I'm going to go ahead and do this on my own?
Well, corporate America kind of told me. It was 2010. It was the great housing crisis of, 08 to, 10 or 11. Yep. And corporate America said, we no longer need you. And I said, that's okay. I don't think I want to go back. I explored a lot of options. The company I was with was healthcare related. They gave us a ton of resources. And every time I was like, I don't want to do this. So I talked to a friend and he said, well, what have you always wanted to do? Or what do you love doing? Now's the time to really think about it. And I said, I love writing. He's like, let's make that a business for you. So I found, I think it was a college intern created my first logo.
Oh, wow.
Another college student created my first website, which was just a blog, really. I mean, I took a personal blog and was like, now it's a business blog. Like, that's kind of what we did back then. And it's grown from there. We started with social media. It was, do you have a Facebook business page? That was the whole strategy. We know it's changed, and we have many more social media sites that we can work with to market our businesses. That's where it started. Then I said, I want to do a little bit longer form. So I did blogging for businesses, which has been amazing. I still do that.
Which is still important, because even being in the world of video marketing, you know, how much I promote video, I still remind my clients, like, you can't forget about content. I was looking at a client's website the other day. They did my suggestions of adding, you know, video to their product page, but then there was like no content. And I'm like, SEO still wants content. And so, you know, talk to me more about the blogging and, you know, what are some of the biggest mistakes you see when it comes to a content strategy?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem in terms of content creation, whether it's video or written content, is consistency. So I went through and I updated my website because I said, you know what, I'm really enjoying book coaching and book ghostwriting. Mm-hmm. So we did a little zhuzh of the website. And then I said, oh, well, this website needs some content needs some blog posts because Google doesn't know I'm here. And of course, the rise of AI, we have to send some signals out to Google and AI. So there's some different strategies, but ultimately it's consistency. And I think being focused on what is your website about. Mm-hmm. We can't have the personal blog and the business blog all jammed together anymore. Right. Google won't know what to do with it and won't show your website to anybody. Why do you have a website then?
Right, exactly. And Google is the king of it. So you got to make sure you're pleasing Google. And so how often should people post a blog?
It depends on your strategy.
And don't worry. The whole depends is my answer when almost anyone asks me anything. How long should my video be? Depends. You know, how much should the video cost? Depends. No, I get it.
It depends. So for me, I've been trying to post twice a week. Okay. And
wow, twice a week vlogs?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Like to me, from
what
I feel like, that feels like a lot, but it makes sense because it depends on what your strategy is. So
yeah. So what I needed to do on my website, for example, is we really need to send the signal that we're book coaching and book ghostwriting.
Right.
So I had to kind of front load the website with a bunch of the basic. What is book coaching? What is ghostwriting? How much does it cost? How long does it take? All the questions. So Google goes, oh, what's she talking about? Mm-hmm. And then you can kind of back off after that. But yeah, 1 to 2 times a week is if you've got a strategy or you've changed services and you want to signal to the search engines and to AI, you've got to really do it. But you can do it in a 90-day sprint. I like to work in 90-day sprints. Yeah. So this 90 days is over, thank God, because it is a lot, to your point. Yeah. It's a lot.
Because I thought, you know, the whole like 2 a month was a decent plan. Now I'm here.
It is.
Once you're slacker over here.
No, not at all. Not at all. Once you're up and running, I have a blogging client. I've been blogging with them for years, and it's 2 a month.
Okay.
And then I think then the search engines see, oh, you post twice a month. Okay, now we know.
It's all about coming up with that pattern. Same thing with video. You know, sometimes people want to start and go, oh, I'm going to post, 3 times a week. And it's like, we better be ready to do 3 times a week for the next 12 months. So, you're going to confuse the algorithms. You're going to go.
You also have to know, like, what are your topics?
Yeah.
So I think as you go, you can develop ideas.
And do you assist your clients with kind of pulling out some of those blog-worthy topics?
Yes.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Sometimes coming up with the ideas is the hardest part.
It is. The great part is I think that's one of the ways we can ethically use AI as creators.
Way to segue right to the next thing I was going to talk about.
I wrote an article about it. I think it's called Ethical Ways to Use AI for Writers, but I think it's all content creators where we can use it for brainstorming, outlining. We could take that transcript and say, okay, what are the key points? Mm-hmm. I could take a transcript, you could take a transcript of a call and say, because I do client Zoom calls, so they're recorded. Everybody knows it's recorded. But I can take it, put it into AI and say, can you tell me what the action items are from this call? And then go back for other information that I know we talked about. And I think that can be an effective way, kind of like use it as an assistant.
Yeah.
I feel like. Mm-hmm. And to ask for ideas. But I think the catch is you have to kind of build it out. Like it has to know your voice. So there's some ways to do that so the AI knows, okay, this is Anne. This is agency content writer. This is what she's writing about. And then it can start to kick out ideas. But I also had to add that content to the website.
Yeah.
So it's like what do they call it? The ecosystem, the marketing ecosystem.
Yes. And I'd love to talk about, your brand, agency content writer. What made you choose this brand name as well as the colors that you chose for it?
Well, the agency is from when I was primarily partnered with marketing agencies.
Mm-hmm.
They would sell a blog package and I would be their writer, their ghostwriter for them. It has it's got some feet on Google, so I didn't want to restart again.
Yeah.
Because we've all done that, right? Creatives, we have some ideas and we're like, I'm going to have this website and that website. And that's just, you create your own train wreck. So I kept it. People know it. I chose those colors. I think I did a color analysis and teal was my color.
Oh.
And so we just kind of went with it. And I was like, teals, blues. I think at one point maybe there was a splash of orange or splash of purple, splash of lime green. And when I wrote the book, I said, you know what? I really like these colors. Let's make it all matchy-matchy because it's me. That's how you know it's me.
I think it's great. You want to have that brand consistency, even if it is, your book, that is your personal memoir story. Gone are the days of separating, your work life and your personal life. It's just life. And so the more that, especially when you have your own brand, your own identity of just mixing that brand into everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see your branding too, Taylor.
Always. Normally I'm wearing blue, but I literally just came from a shoot, so I was like, okay, I'll just keep the, Financial Potion shirt on for now.
Right. I love it.
Thank you. And so, tell me the tale of one of the hardest parts of starting the business. Because a lot of us, you'll see on social media, oh, look at me doing this, my business, I'm doing so good. Smile, smile, smiles. Everyone thinks we're just successful from day one. But every entrepreneur, business owner knows that's not the truth. And so, tell me the tale of some of the hardest times of starting your business and how were you able, whether it's mindset or actions you took to kind of keep pushing through because you've been successful for a long time. We said 2010 you left and, and you're still being the agency content writer. So how were you able to fight through the hard times?
The first thing I say is starting a business in 2010 when businesses were closing and my whole branding was, and we didn't even call it that then, I don't think, for small businesses, but essentially the branding was, I want to write blog articles and manage social media for small businesses, which looking back was completely ridiculous. So the first thing I tell people is don't do as I did, do as I say, because that was a terrible time to start a business. But it worked. I found some partners who were just a little bit bigger than I was at the time. One in particular was doing PR and was shifting over to social media and blogging because at that point,
that was like
we were all kind of in the same bucket. They're like, we don't know what to do with social. We don't know what to do with video. We were all just in this like PR marketing. I don't know. It was a mess looking back. But she taught me how to write blog posts. She's like, here's some topics. I was writing about like automobiles, like winterizing your car. It was crazy. But that's where, you have to start somewhere. So I was writing a variety of topics, but I do remember that one in particular. And then I met somebody else and her business was blowing up with social media. So I wrote social media posts for hours and hours and hours. So I think it's knowing what you want to do, it's finding good partners and learning, like being open to learning as well. Listening at those networking meetings, network your butt off. If I could say ass, you network your ass off.
That's
what I say.
Yeah.
And I mean, you and I met years ago. There are people I still talk to that I met years ago. And I watch your podcast here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look who Taylor's chatting with. I know them. It's
we
wonderful to see familiar faces.
It's really a small world. Even though this is technically a city that we're in right now, it's such a small world once you get into the whole business world of things. Because also, they say, birds of a feather flock together. And so, positive, good women who are entrepreneurs and business owners tend to be around other positive women who are entrepreneurs. And so that's how you get connected, and we all start, being around the same circles and things.
Exactly.
And so, networking, number one. When someone is looking to hire a writer, whether, obviously I'd say, you know who to contact, but
thank you.
If someone was looking, what are some things that people should be asking? Like what, if someone really doesn't know, because I think the hardest part too in business is knowing when to let go and when to delegate, and how do you build that trust to choose that right person? Yeah. And so if someone is just in the struggle bus, doing all of the things, wearing entirely too many hats, writing in administrative work could be something that's easily delegatable. But what are some things you would tell people to ask the content writer or look for when choosing someone to partner with?
We go back a step when we say, okay, what's an hour of your time worth? How much time are you spending doing this task? So for me as a writer, it's accounting. Mm-hmm. How much time am I spending on accounting? How much, can I make it a simpler process, or do I just give it to somebody else to do? My husband will tell you that it's good I simplified the process now, because it was a big stressor. Would I hire somebody in the future? Yes. And then it would be, so what are your goals for your business? Mm-hmm. Why are you hiring a content writer? And then ask them, do you have experience writing for my type of business? Mm-hmm. Do you, what are your recommendations? How often should I blog? How does it work? Do I pay you by the word, or do I pay you a flat rate? Could you just write 12 blog posts for me? I just post one a month. Asking questions and really understanding your business, I think, is important, because then you can go out, and I would say that's probably the biggest struggle as a writer. If somebody says, oh yeah, I need a writer, and then I ask them about their business and they don't really know what they're doing, and I'm like, that is extremely challenging when they come and it's like a book too. Like, what's your why? Who's your target audience? What do you want to get out of this project? Like, why did you call me? Not why would you call me?
Well, there's different writers too, though. Do you need someone who's going to help you craft a memoir, craft a book? Are you looking for someone who's trying to craft a manual of technical writing? Those are totally different mediums. Yeah.
And that's really what we want to gather from that. And I've been doing this long enough that I have other people that I know. So I think that, and I love networking. Going back to that conversation in the beginning, my friend who said, what do you like to do? I said to him, I like to do everything that's not in my job description. I was writing and editing, or I was writing the newsletter for our business, our little business unit. I was interviewing people, and I was networking people together. And what do we do out here? We're creating content for people, we're networking people, and we're finding the right people for you. So if it's not me, I might know somebody who is doing the technical writing, or could help you write your romance novel or something like that. So I think that's what's fun. I think also these creatives, we have a lot of ideas and different paths we can go down. So on the surface, maybe it doesn't look like it would click, but it does. Or it could.
Do you like doing different industries, or do you like staying, industry focused?
I like writing for different industries. I like different stories. Lately, we've been writing books for strong women with, kind of victorious stories, winning stories. Nice. So that's been fun, but it doesn't mean, if I go up on a stage, I work, I write books for women and women in business. That doesn't mean I wouldn't write a book for a man. I'm trying to convince my husband, who has a great area of expertise, that we should really get his book written.
Most definitely. If you already wrote a forward, you already did part of a book, well, now just continue on. Keep going.
But that's the idea. It's someone who's, an expert in their field, or they've had maybe it's a health scare, or, something where you come out on the other side and say, wow, look at all that I've learned. I would love to share this, because I say everybody has a story. Yours just needs to be told. Or written, as it were.
And then edited by a professional, put together in a nicely looking book.
Yeah, that's not what I do. I'm not design. I'm not the final edit. I do a good proofread. We organize. And then I have a collaborator, Christine, who helped me with my book. And we've just collaborated ever since then on a number of projects. So it's been great.
That is excellent. Yeah. So obviously, your book is probably up there on some of the top tales, but I always love to know, what are other tales that you've either read or maybe a movie you've watched that you just absolutely love that, just helps either motivate you or just puts you in the right mood?
Ooh. I love a story about a writer who's having an existential crisis and they go on some sort of a trip. They meet somebody or they have an experience and they come out on the other side and they're like, oh, now I can write my book. Because in my mind, that's what happens. I don't go on vacation to write a book or find myself, not yet. But I find those inspiring. I'm like, okay, everybody's got some stuff in their head that we have to work through to get us to where we want to be in the future.
Is there a particular story in mind that has that arc?
No, I've watched so many.
Okay.
I've watched so many. And I just think it's funny. Like my husband says, there'll be a movie and it'll be, oh, the husband's working on the novel he's been writing. And he looks at me like, that novel you've been writing? Because I have really been, I've had one rolling around for a while and it's embarrassing. So anybody who can finish the novel, it will. And she's a strong woman too. So I feel like her time is coming. The character.
Yeah, I feel like, isn't like Secret Window? Wasn't he a writer? I don't know. I don't remember. Probably not it at all. But oh, that's excellent. And so, one of my most important questions I probably ask: what's your favorite animal with a tail? A little punny question.
An animal with a tail. I love that. Dogs.
We were friends.
Are you cats?
I'm team cat. But I like being like an aunt to a dog. Like, I like to play with the dog, but as soon as it's time to go take a walk and poop and like have to do all that, I'm like, hey, go back to your mom.
It's a common story. Yes.
Okay.
That's a common story. I don't want to do the litter box thing. So I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very allergic to cats. So
see, and I can understand that. That's unfortunate.
So that's why.
Yeah. I'm kind of allergic. I always take allergy medicine.
Yeah.
Then itch my eyes out and get over it.
That's so funny. I'd like to be an aunt to a cat.
Oh, right? Okay. Yeah. It's nice to be aunts to animals or aunts to animals. That's amazing. And so, so you're helping. So that's your primary focus right now. We're helping more people create books like this that are going to inspire, that are going to help others, that are just going to really share your story, because literally everyone has a story in them. Mm-hmm. And so how can people best get a hold of you? We're going to put all the links in the show notes and everything, so then that way people can click. I'm definitely going to want to link back to your AI blog in the show notes, because I think that's huge. How else can people get a hold of you?
agencycontentwriter.com. There's a scheduling link. I have my social media links on there. I have Facebook pages, and I have a group called That Book You've Been Meaning to Write, where we are sharing ideas and inspiration and a little bit more kind of insider than what's just on the page. So yeah, that would be amazing to meet people there and learn about their ideas. Something else I would add is if there are folks in business who want a book like they can sell from the stage.
Right. Or these are great business cards, basically.
Yeah, business card. Yes, I love that phrase, business card books.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are also folks that I work with.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I love it when I go to an event and I get, the business card book, because then it just allows you, no one throws it away. You're going to get so many business cards that, like, I think I have one literally in my pocket right now. Like, that sometimes gets put into the wash, that sometimes gets in the trash. Sometimes you pick it out of your pocket and you're like, wait, who was this person? But when you get their book, normally there's a beautiful picture on the back and a little explanation of, oh, wait, this author, just to remind yourself. So then you can be re-inspired and go, oh, wait, I thought this person was amazing at this event and I need more. And so the power of the business book, trust me, if I ever start doing more speaking engagements, I have had this idea on the back of my mind. So give it a couple more years and we might be talking about that. Because boy, do I have content on content. I would just be like dumping literally hundreds of pages of stuff I've written for scripts and go, help me figure it out.
I can't wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that actually kind of leads me to one other question. I know I totally said we were going to close, but you know how I am. So why do you think people hesitate? You named your group The Book You've Been Meaning to Write. Because it's such a common thing that people have this idea that they want to do it, but they never take action. Why do you think that's the case?
We're scared. Nobody wants to be rejected. You're sharing your story. You're sharing part of your soul with people, and that's scary. What if somebody reads it and they don't like it, or they say, oh, I knew she was, like that, or, oh, I never knew that about her. Oh, that poor girl with cancer, So it makes you vulnerable. I also want to say that there are quite a few of you out there, as I reach out to more people who have books that they've started that are sitting in drawers, on computers, all different places. Let's get those done. Yeah. I was talking to a woman and she said she described her business, and then later in the workshop, she described her book that she's written. And I said, this is perfect for you to give to your clients. Mm-hmm. And for you to share when you're networking, so people have an idea of what you do. And she works with kids and behaviors and really helps kind of coach parents. And I was like, everybody probably wants to read that book.
Yeah.
Everybody who has kids, right? So I think that's a huge opportunity. She's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, but you're already doing it. Like this, you're not opening yourself up. So I suggested to her, I said, what's your why? Like, why did you start doing this? Mm-hmm. Again, we go back to the why. And she said, well, I think, she had a personal connection and said, okay, I want to help other parents because we were helped. And so she's gone through this process and now she's coaching and helping parents. And I said, that's a beautiful story. We don't have to put it through the whole book. It doesn't have to be like mine where you're spilling all the beans, but a little something in the beginning just to share and connect you with your audience, I think is enough. And then you could crawl back in your hole and do some more of the technical. But I think people want to know. They want to know, oh, she's married. Oh, she likes dogs versus cats or cats versus dogs. Like something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's vulnerable. Even though, you might be out there doing that work all the time, to put it in a book and write it down on paper is scary.
Yeah, I guess I really didn't think of it that way. Yeah. I was thinking more, time consuming or, the expenses that maybe people are thinking about of what it takes to distribute the book. But you're just saying it's just the putting it on the paper is the hard part for some.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. I mean, it's overwhelming for like, where do I start? Mm-hmm. Who do I know? Mm-hmm. That's why I enjoy having conversations like this, to meet more people, to see you, to, everybody wants to get in front of more faces. Mm-hmm. To know, let's have a conversation and see. And if it's not now, then you know where to find me and we can have a conversation later.
Right. Yeah. And it's just also about, I think people need to not be afraid. Just ask the questions, have a conversation with you, fact find of what does it really take to write a book. And especially when you partner with someone like yourself, it makes it easier. Life's always easier when you have someone to help row the other side.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, it's also like, join the writing group. Does your library have a writing group? Our library does, and that's kind of where I started to meet people. I'm like, oh, there's a lot of writers in this town, And so I think that kind of opens the door and you go, oh, maybe you get a little confidence from a writing group. Mm-hmm. I've got my group for folks too, where you're not quite ready to write the book. That book you've been meaning to write, but maybe you'll get some inspiration and, I don't know, pump out a paragraph or two. I don't know.
That's a fabulous idea, though. Surround yourself with like-minded people who are trying to achieve the same goal. Obviously it's going to be different because everyone has their different stories, but together, learn from each other, lift each other up, and make it happen. Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so now as we officially close, if you were to leave the audience with just one piece of advice or one tip, what would that be?
Step into the fear, not away from it. Step out of your comfort zone, which like my hands are sweating, like full disclosure, my hands are sweating just saying all this, but that's really where the magic happens. I want to do more video, for example. Scary for a writer, an introverted writer to do more video, but let's do it. This is the start, everyone.
Start, yes.
Thank you. But step into the fear. Show it who's boss.
Yeah, because when you open that door, there's really actually nothing on the other side. And we will give ourselves so much damage by worrying about the what ifs. There's an amazing speech that my son, when he was 3-year-old, found on Apple Music. It was a commencement speech. And in it, one line that sticks with me is worrying is like trying to solve math by chewing gum.
I love
It's just
that.
like, you're never gonna.
Yes.
Like, it's just nothing ever is gonna come from
Yeah.
it. So yeah, you're just like, why worry about stuff? It's beyond your control. Why fear? Most times beyond your control. And just take a step forward. And it sounds like just join Anne's writing groups and just get confident. Get to know other people who are in the journey of writing. And, I know writing can be really therapeutic and fun. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. And then when it comes to the nitty-gritty details and refining and making it perfect, that's what we have in Anne. So
Thank you.
Yes. So everyone, get out there. Don't stay, just locked in your own self and your own thoughts, and don't worry so much about what other people are going to think, because having your thoughts on a book can just be, what you need, and you never know how many more people you're going to actually be able to positively impact if you just take the time to share your story. So thank you again so much for joining me today. Go ahead, take a look at We Don't Get to Ring the Bell, my CML story, as well. If you're looking to write your own, you know how to get a hold of the agency Content Writer. Take a look at some of the blogs that we have linked in the show notes. And until next time, just stay positive, keep your smile on, and get to writing. Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.